Years ago, the Red Fairy lived in the city of fairies. After a few days, everyone got ready for a celebration in the palace. Then, due to some reason, Queen Parry ordered Lal Parry to leave the palace. Saddened by this, the Red Fairy flew from the palace to earth and hid in a garden. Many children were playing games in that garden. Lal Parry started secretly watching the children's play and seeing them laughing and playing. She even forgot her sorrow. Just then, a girl named Sonny, who was playing in the garden, noticed the golden red wings of the Red Fairy. Sonny thought maybe it was some fruit and went near it to pick it. When Sonny saw Lal Parry there, she was shocked and started screaming with joy. Hearing Sonny's scream, all the children playing in the garden also came near her. The beautiful Red Fairy was wearing red clothes. His wings were also red and he was also wearing a shining red crown on his head. Seeing all the children, the Red Fairy introduced herself to everyone. On hearing this, all the children became happy and started jumping. The children had heard from their grandmother in the story that the Red Fairy fulfills all the wishes. Because of this, all the children became happy after seeing the Red Fairy and started telling their wishes. Then, after listening to Chintu's wish, the Red Fairy moved her stick and Chintu travelled in the air and came back to the ground. Then the Red Fairy moved her stick and a juicy fresh mango came into Sonny's hands. After this, the Red Fairy again waved her wand and all the flowers in the garden started glowing with light. All the children were very happy after seeing the magic of the Red Fairy, and the Red Fairy had also forgotten the celebrations going on in the fairy palace and her sadness of not being able to stay in the palace. After this, as soon as the brightness of the flowers diminished, all the stars in the sky started shining. Then the children took leave from Lal Parry and got ready to go to their respective homes. After the children left, Lal Parry became sad again. Seeing Lal Parry sad, Sonny couldn't control herself, so she asked her the reason for her sadness. Lal Parry told Sonny everything about Rani Parry. After hearing this, Sonny said, "You must have done some mischievous act. That is why Rani Parry has given you such a punishment. Whenever I do mischief at home, my mother also gives me some punishment." Giving clarification, the Red Fairy said, "No, I had not done any mischief." Smiling after hearing Lal Parry's explanation, Sonny said again, "It must be something mischievous." On hearing this, Lal Parry stole her stick and eyes from Sonny. Lowering her eyes, the Red Fairy said, "Yes, I had done a mischief. Notu the dwarf was standing on the stairs and cleaning the tallest clock of the fairy palace. I had moved the ladder. Out of fear, he grabbed the hands of the clock and hung on it, and the hands of the biggest clock in the fairy palace broke. Because the needle of that clock broke, the clock stopped and everything in the fairy world came to a halt. After this, Queen Fairy fixed everything with her magic, and because of this, she got angry and sent me out of the palace. Whereas, it is not my fault, it was all the fault of Notu dwarf." After listening to Lal Parry, Sonny said, "My mother says that if we commit a mistake unknowingly, then it can be forgiven. But if a mistake is made intentionally, then we should be punished for it. So now tell me whether you moved that ladder intentionally or by mistake." Red Fairy said in a very low voice. "On purpose. If I now apologize to Rani Parry for this mistake, will she forgive me?" Sonny said, "Yes, of course. My mother has also told me that if any work is done with true heart, then it is definitely successful." After this, Lal Parry asked Sonny to thank her mother on her behalf, and by waving her magic wand, she took Sonny to her home in the next moment. After listening to Sonny's mother's thoughts, Lal Parry decided that she will become the best fairy in the fairy world. After this, she spread both her wings and flew towards the sky to apologize to the Queen Fairy for her mistake. Then, after reaching the fairy world, he sincerely accepted his mistake and apologized to Queen Fairy, and she also forgave him. Lesson from the story: one should not trouble anyone unnecessarily, and if you want to apologize for any mistake of yours, then you should apologize for it with a true heart. Work done with true heart is always good. If you liked this story, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like and share the video. Your feedback will motivate us even more.